Morning, everyone. May I have your attention, please? I would like to invite all the participants of the ALSA Global Internship to be ready for the opening ceremony. I would like kindly advise all distinguished guests and participants to mute their devices in order to avoid any interruptions during this event. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ALSA Global Internship launch hosted by ALSA International. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Lily, and I am the director of Moot Court Competition of ALSA International. It is an honor for me to be the master of ceremony at our event today, Saturday, 27th May 2023. Firstly, let us thank God Almighty who has been giving us guidance and blessings to attend this event today with a healthy and delightful feeling without any obstacles. And I would like to welcome Dr. Harsha De Silva as the Honorable Member of the Parliament of Sri Lanka, Mr. Boon Tiong as the President of the ALSA Alumni, Mr. Yuri van Steenwich as the President of the European Law Students Association, Ms. Annabel Biscotto as the President of the Australian Law Students Association, the speakers of today's event, Mr. Shamir Zafahir and Ms. Sarani Gunatileki, senior officers and directors of the ALSA International Board, presidents of the national chapters of ALSA, members of ALSA, members of the ALSA alumni, and to all the participants who have joined today. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will begin today's agenda by singing the ALSA anthem. All participants may adjust to their surroundings. For the comedy, the time and place are yours. For the next agenda, we would like to hear the welcome speech by the ALSA International President. To Mr. Fatana Intaluksa, the time and
Sabadi, good morning, everyone. Please allow me to send my salutation, every one of you. As I am the president of ALSA International Board this term, I would like to say greeting, welcome you guys to our ALSA Global Internship Program that my section department and treasury have created. So before that, I would like to share the screen to let you know more about ALSA International, what we do, what our curricula of ALSA. Do you guys able to see my screen? So the history of ALSA International, as we know that we have established since the 18 May 1998, but officially by 2002 we create like 5 member countries which have Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand, and that the time we call the Asian Law Student Association. So our vision, first, we would like to promote the awareness of justice, to promote the awareness of justice across the Asian countries. Next is the global vision of Asia, to focus on the global vision to promoting a future of Asia, and social responsibilities to facilitate the recognition of social responsibility on Asian law students. Next is our mission, to understand and appreciate diversity, as we have 16 national chapter and 3 observer. It's sometimes hard about our culture and tradition, but we believe that everything can work by together because we are one and we always be one. Next is motivate law students on development creative spirit, as we have always have the activities, something like this. So all of the participants, especially our members, can have time to express their thought and also like learn from different background of each other. Next is the enhancement of Asian law student capabilities to exercise on 4 pillars of ALSA. So ALSA, we have 4 pillars. First is the legally skilled, academically committed, internationally minded, and socially responsible. As I have mentioned that we do have 16 national chapter and 3 observer, and we have 100 and plus local chapter across the Asian countries. We do have outside Indonesia, Taiwan, Laos, Hong Kong, China, Malaysia, Brunei, Philippines, India, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Macau, Myanmar, Thailand, South Korea, Singapore, and our outstanding observer, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Cambodia. And here's the faces of our international board. We would like to say that we have 2 more here, and we will update it soon. But I hope that some of you can be part of our international board. And if you wish that you want to be, do not hesitate to reach out to our international board, because we are here for you. We would like to help and we would like to facilitate you to become of our family. Here's the structure. And here's our sponsor and partner. So our sponsor mostly are a very outstanding sponsor and also our outstanding partner. We do have Thomas Phillips, Asian International Application Center, ALSA, AMSA, Austrian Law Student Association, SDG, Duchess, Zurich Academic, UN, DP, FPCI, and so on and so forth. Our organs of ALSA, we have 2 main. First is the General Assembly that of the president, and it's very like urgent meeting. And next is the Governing Council. We have mostly every month, to have a meeting and update and keep going what's going on in ALSA. And here's our department of our international board. We have Presidential Department, Secretary General Department, and Treasury Department, Academic Activities Department, Training Exchange and Development Department, and External Affairs and Marketing Department. Here's our event and program. We do have ALSA Conference and ALSA Forum. This year, ALSA Conference is hosted by ALSA Philippines, and ALSA Forum is hosted by ALSA India. And the ALSA Forum will begin soon. So this year, ALSA Forum will host around this September. So I hope if you wish that you want to join ALSA Forum, please do not hesitate to reach out to IB as well. We would like to inform our host and we can help you guys to go to India together. Next is our ALSA International Moot Court Competition. This year, our host is ALSA Vietnam, and they're going to have it on October, and it's going to be very fun in Ho Chi Minh City, the south part of Vietnam. And if you guys want to bring your members or bring your team to join this one, you guys can reach out to International Board as well. We would like to facilitate you to the academic activity department. And we also have our in here is our MC today, Master of Ceremony. Yeah. Yeah. If you wish that you want to join this competition, you can reach out to her or reach out to me. Next is our ALSA International Mediation Competition. So this one we postponed to have a host on next year, and we are trying to find a host. And I think that we already have one. Yeah. Next is our John H. Jackson Moot Court Competition that just finished and hosted by ALSA Singapore. And this one we also work with ALSA, the European Law Student Association. And I think it's going to be very, very fun in Europe. Next is our ALSA International Legal Training and Workshop. So at this moment, we already have a national chapter who want to be a host, and we are negotiating and draft the document together for them to be a host for this year. Next is our student trainee exchange program under my chat department, and we are going on. So if you want to bring your member from your national chapter to have the opportunity to do the internship with our partner program, this is the great opportunity for you to try. Do not hesitate to reach out to us as well. And we also do have legal discussion. So our legal discussion we used to have before is the policy wake-up call, legal approach on climate change emergency, and international humanitarian law perspective on Russian-Ukraine armed conflict. So mostly we are non-political association, but we have to learn the how to say currently case, so we can know how to use our law, especially our ICRC, how to say international criminal law, international humanitarian law, and everything. So our member could see and know how to use it in the real case. Next is our academic activity publication. We do have 5 main. First is ALSA Journal of Legal Study, AJLS, ALSA Legal's newsletter, ALSA Law Review Magazine, ALSA Magazine, and ALSA International Video Conference that we're going to have soon on June. So most of this is under the academic activities, and we're going to publish soon. And also we will collab with some of our partners to send their member to put it here. So if you want to read, we would like to promote it on our social media platform on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And maybe if we have TikTok, why not? So next is, I would like to say I want you guys to be part of ALSA. Why? Because we are international exposure. We are logistic upgrading and reshaping for the future. That is ALSA, always be one. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fatana, as the welcome speech for today's event. Continuing, we will hear the opening remarks by the president of ALSA. To Mr. Yuri van Stenwich, the time and place are yours.
Thank you so much. Allow me to also share my screen real quick. There we go. So good morning, everybody. Very early morning for me. I'm currently sitting in the stairway of my hotel in Strasbourg. Just finished the final round of one of our moot courts at 4 in the morning, and very happy to join all of you here at this amazing event. So I wanted to give you a quick rundown of the European Law Students Association, and especially the areas where we cooperate with our Asian colleagues and where we see potential in the future to cooperate. So the European Law Student Association got founded in 1981. It got founded by these 4 men you can see there. That has now grown up to 70,000 members almost in 43 countries with over 350 local groups. The association is built up in a pyramid in a very similar structure to ALSA, and the international board consists of 8 people who actually live and work full-time for ALSA in Brussels. This year, the board is consistent of 2 people from Switzerland, somebody from Finland, from Portugal, the Netherlands, Sweden, Belgium, and Croatia. As you can see, a very international bunch. And next year's international board has already been elected. So you will, if you're still going to be active in ALSA, hopefully be dealing with my successors from Croatia, UK, Czech Republic, Greece, and Poland. We cooperate with all kinds of partners.
You can continue, Yuri.
Yuri is muted.
There we go. Now you should be able to hear me.
Yes, we do.
Did you? I unmuted myself at the starting of my speech, right?
Sorry, didn't get you.
Do I have to start the speech over again, or did the muting happen in the middle? Okay,
Yeah,
all right. So I'll perfect. I will commence. So what do we actually do with all of these partners and all of these members? So we have a couple of core projects. We organize 2 big moot courts, the Helga Pedersen, which, as I mentioned, currently I'm at the final of on human rights, and then the John H. Jackson on trade law, which was already mentioned by Banky, and I will also go into a bit more. Then we have an academic publication. We have a delegations project. We organize law schools and traineeships. So the John H. Jackson Moot Court competition, I would like to focus on real quick, because it is a global project that we organize, and we usually are able to rely on cooperation with ALSA to help and organize the rounds in Asia. So while I was here, I wanted to make use of the opportunity to call out that there is currently a call for regional round organizers, both for the East Asia and Oceania round and the West and South Asia regional round. You can find more info on LinkedIn. You can also reach out to me directly, president@elsa.org, or my LinkedIn. I will drop the links in the chat right afterwards. You can see here, these are the rounds, the photos from the round in Singapore. It was an amazing experience for them. We usually try our best to help guide the groups that organize and that support us through this process. And we're really, really thankful for the groups that are able to put in this work. And it's also a really nice opportunity to raise the profile of both your local ELSA group and your university on the global stage, because you will have academics and competitors from all over the world come to your regional round and compete. Next to that, as mentioned, the law review, also a traineeship program very similar to ALSA's, a law schools program, a delegations program. So I don't want to take any more of your time. I know that all of you are waiting to get to the core of this event, and also, of course, to Annabelle's speech. So please do feel free to reach out to us if you have any kind of ideas about cooperation, any questions, if any of you are ever stopping by in Brussels. And I wish you all a great rest of the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to Mr. Yuri for the opening remarks. Next is the opening remarks by the President of the Australian Law Students Association. To Ms. Annabelle Biscotto, the time and place are yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Unfortunately, I don't have a beautiful presentation like the Asian Law Students Association and Yuri, so you'll just have to listen to my voice, unfortunately. My name is Annabelle Biscotto. I'm the president of the Australian Law Students Association, and it's an honor to join you today at the launch ceremony of the Asian Law Students Association Global Internship, and I thank you very much for inviting me to speak today. I recognise that I'm speaking from the country of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, otherwise known as Sydney, Australia, and I pay my respects to elders, past, present, and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and their culture and connection to the landed waters of New South Wales. A very warm welcome from all our members down under, and it is a testament to our shared aspirations and the common pursuits of our law association and the other law associations from around the world. So ALSA, the Aussie version, is the national representative body for all law students in Australia. And our purpose is to champion the interests of our members, cultivate a sense of community, and foster an environment conducive to legal education and professional growth. So we provide forums for the exchange of ideas, and we encourage thoughtful debates and extend platform for skills development. And so as president of ALSA, it is my pleasure to extend an invitation to you all to our 2023 National Conference. And this is our paramount event of the year. And it's an extremely exciting, very fun event for law students of all different backgrounds to engage, learn and grow. And the conference is taking place from the 27th of July to the 2nd of August. And more information can be found at www.alsaconference.com, or you can contact me via email or LinkedIn, and I'll put my drop them in the comments soon. One of the highlights of this conference is the competitions that we host. So the competitions that we're opening to our international friends is the negotiation competition, client interviewing and paper presentation, and more information can be found on the website. So yeah, wherever you are in the world, we very much hope to see you here. It's a beautiful place, Australia, if you haven't been there, and I hope to see you there soon. But I wish you every success with the Global Internship Program, and I'm very confident that the program will go wonderfully. So thank you so much for listening, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much for the opening remarks, Ms. Annabelle. Continuing, we will hear the address by the president of ALSA Alumni. He is a legal counsel at Red Dot Payment and the founder of Twin Woods Consulting. He pursued his Bachelor of Law at the National University of Singapore. The Mr. Boon Tiong, time and place are yours.
Good morning, everyone. Boon Tiong here, the president of ALSA Alumni Association. A bit of myself, yeah, I'm from Singapore. I was quite involved in ALSA Singapore back then. I was the ALSA Singapore president many years back. And I happened to see this Jackson H. Mood, right? John H. Jackson Mood, yeah. I was in our first organizing committee in Singapore when we organized the Asia Pacific round. And back then it was still called the EMCC. I think Yuri will be familiar with it. So yeah, I have actually worked with ALSA counterparts to organize the mood. In terms of, since this was an internship, maybe I could share a bit of my internship experience. Actually, through ALSA, I managed to secure an internship in Bangkok with the Asian Peace and Reconciliation Center. So back then we didn't have such a structured, internship program, but that was more of a ad hoc, through an ALSA event. You get to meet someone there, and then I got an internship opportunity. And I subsequently also got a scholarship from Thailand to go to Goethe University in Germany for a short little exchange. So I share all this to because I think these internships and opportunities are very fruitful, very helpful, and I had a great time. So really, I haven't got a chance to understand more about the details of this global internship program, but I urge everyone, if there are such opportunities to intern somewhere that's not your country, I think definitely take it up. Yeah, so just a bit more about the ALSA Alumni Association. ALSA had been trying to come up with this alumni structure since 2010. They did formalize a bit of it back then, sign some MOU, but the thing about lawyers is after you graduate, you just get busy with life, and nobody actually had the time to really work on this. So 2010, it was dormant all the way until, I guess, 2021. And even the ALSA International Board, throughout this time, there were a lot of other priorities. In 2021, I guess, that period, COVID. So the board then, I guess when things slowed down, there were less physical events. They had the time to actually relook into this. So they actually connected the alumni guys. So for myself, all the way to seniors who have been graduated for decades, right? So we came together, and then we just trying to discuss and to make everybody on the same page. And that's why we decided 2021, let's just formalize one ALSA alumni. To formalize one organization, ALSA Alumni. So currently, we have a board of directors, 5 of us, 2 from Singapore, 1 from Thailand, 1 from Indonesia, and 1 from Myanmar. So quite an international board. Since our incorporation, we haven't had much chance to do much, regrettably, partly because of COVID. We can't, do any physical events, and also because, all of us are quite busy. I mean, we're quite early on in our careers, and all of us are over the place. Some of them are still studying. So we are looking to work hand in hand with the incumbent IB board to see how we can assist. But right now, the main focus of ALSA alumni is really just to serve as the platform for our alumni ALSA members past and present, for them to connect with each other for anything. So far, in having worked for a few years now, I have personally experienced the benefit of ALSA. Whether you're in practice or in any other work, there is the international element. So, for example, when I started in a law firm, my boss will ask me, hey, do you know, we need a legal opinion from Thailand, for example. Do you have any friends there? Okay, yeah, I have this ALSA friend, this and that. And right now, even just last week, I'm still in contact with my ALSA friends. I have ALSA Indonesia friend who just came overseas, just came to Singapore and hosted him. ALSA Thailand, they just got back 2-3 days ago, hosted her as well. So yeah, we are still a quite strong community. And so alumni just to serve as that platform. But yeah, that's all I have. Feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any more questions, and if you just need to know more about what's life like after law school or things like that, just feel free to reach out. We're all very friendly. Thanks.
Thank you so much to Mr. Boon Tiong for the address for today's event. Next, we would like to hear the introduction to the ALSA Global Internship by the ALSA International Secretary General. To Ms. Zinat Zakir, the time and place are yours.
Thank you very much, Lily. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Our chief guest, Dr. Harsha De Silva, Honorable Member of Parliament of Sri Lanka. Special guests, Ms. Sarani Gunatilaka, Mr. Shamil Zabair, Presidents of the Asian, European, Australian Law Students Associations, ALSA alumni, and national chapters, senior officers, directors of the International Board, members of the alumni, and fellow ALSA. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the ALSA Global Internship as a gesture of appreciation to all ALSA members, past and present, who actively contributed to the growth of this esteemed organization. Being internationally minded, we strive to understand and appreciate the diversity and share ideas of law in society through exchange and communication. This internship program will help us experience the work environment in different countries. The applicants will have the option of working online or physically being there in person. My Director of Alumni and Membership will walk you through the application process in a few minutes. The projects initiated by ALSA International require tremendous effort, organization, and most importantly, effective teamwork. We have witnessed ALSA growing strength to strength every year. These projects will strive to recognize and appreciate the effort and time invested by all members who display goodwill, dedication, and support in organizing ALSA international events. To be able to balance our academic and organized events of this caliber is no easy task, but it is these projects that help us grow as an individual and enhance our soft skills required in the work environment. With the implementation of this project, we aspire to strengthen our relationship with the European and Australian Law Students Associations and engage in fruitful discussions that will benefit us all. All in all, the ALSA Global Internship seeks to encourage law students of our member countries to be actively engaged with ALSA International and reap the benefits we offer. I would like to conclude by extending my heartfelt gratitude to our chief guest, Dr. Harsha De Silva, for accepting our invitation today despite his busy schedule, our guest speakers, and everyone else present here with us. Most importantly, the officers of the International Board and President Patana Intelaksa for making this event a success. Thank you. Over to you, Lily.
Thank you so much, Ms. Zinat, for the introduction. For now, we would like to take a group photo first before the address of our chief guest, Dr. Harsha. So please, everyone, to turn on your camera for our photo session.
Dr. Harsh, if you could switch on your video, take a picture. Thank you, sir. Lily,
All right.
take this picture.
Yes. The cue is on me. In 3, 2, 1. One more. I will wait for others to turn on their camera first. All right. We will take a picture in 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. For now, we would like to hear the address of the chief guest, Dr. Harsha De Silva, as the Honorable Minister of Parliament of Sri Lanka. Dr. Harsha holds a PhD in economics from the University of Missouri and has an executive training from MIT. He also received the Eisenhower Fellowship in 2011. Since April 2010, Dr. Harsha is also a member of Parliament of Sri Lanka and currently represents the main opposition party. From the year 2015 to 2019, Dr. Harsha held a number of ministerial portfolios within the government of Sri Lanka. This included the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, as well as the Deputy Minister of Policy Planning, Economic Affairs, Child, Youth, and Cultural Affairs. In 2016, Dr. Harsha spearheaded the establishment of Suwaseria, a modern AMT and ambulance service in Sri Lanka that now covers the entire island and is free of charge. He was also instrumental in setting the groundwork for the development of a cold storage system in Sri Lanka. Without further ado, we warmly welcome our chief guest to address the gathering. To the Dr. Harsha, time and place are yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. First of all, I apologize. I'm in the car. I'm just leaving Colombo to address another meeting outside. So excuse the shaking of my screen, perhaps. I can't help it. But let me congratulate you, first of all, for starting something like this. You see, we talk about Asia, and Asia is really the driving force in the global economy already. And in the next 20, 25 years, the significance of Asia is only going to grow. And therefore, there is going to be a lot of potential for professionals in Asia, across Asia, from the big countries in Asia to the small countries in Asia, to interact, integrate, and both for personal development of professionals and going beyond that for nationally important projects for their own countries and for the region. So therefore, this, I think, is outstanding effort. And I congratulate you on starting this internship program. Now, why are internship programs important? First of all, I think it's, understanding the differences of both legal systems, the nuances, how one operates, the cultural norms, all of that within the region, but different from country to country. And as the nations of Asia and others integrate, it becomes absolutely essential that one understands how other countries work. In fact, Asia is the least integrated region. If you look at Europe, if you look at the Americas, they are far more integrated. There are rules that define the region's activities, but here there isn't. And I think it is essentially a legal regulatory framework that is going to create that infrastructure for other industries to grow. So therefore, it is fundamental that we in our different countries in the region understand how other countries work. So therefore, it is, like I said earlier, a really good opportunity for young people like yourselves to begin thinking about this at the state of professional advancement you are in. Still, what I understand are law students. Now, why is it important beyond sort of the big macro goals? Is the working environment is very different to a student environment. What you study in school, in class, may or may not be relevant at all when you come to the real world. So therefore, closing that gap between theory and practice is crucial. I don't know about other countries, but I'm sure it is the same as in Sri Lanka. You know, apprenticing is absolutely essential before one gets into the professional circuit. But it gives the opportunity to sort of dive into the real world without taking responsibility. I think that's important, because you're doing an internship, you're always under the guidance of some senior person, so you can sort of have the cake and eat it also. Get experience, but with limited responsibility. So I think that is way to both move from the classroom to the real world, and at the same time be able to understand the differences in the systems and procedures within the region. Networks are absolutely important. And I'll tell you, I belong to a very sort of unique and not too many alumni in that network, yet very important is the Eisenhower network, which I had the fortune about 10 years ago to participate in as one of the 20 mid-level emerging leaders. Now, those partnerships, those relationships, those networks across the world become very, very important in my professional work. So having a network is absolutely important, and in an integrated region, to have this network going is, I think, critical, essential. I'll give you an example. Right now, from a lawyer's point of view, Sri Lanka is facing an enormous challenge in restructuring foreign debt. And in that exercise, I meet lawyers from various jurisdictions who represent various bondholders, hedge funds and others, insurance companies, investment banks. Now, they are sometimes at a loss to figure out how things happen here. And so therefore, they're always looking for local experience. How does one approach this? The law obviously has to be implemented according to the book. That's correct. But other nuances, the relationships, how do you negotiate? Who do we talk to? What are the biases? How do you sort of get around what seem to be insurmountable political interference, etc.? One wouldn't know by reading a book. One wouldn't know by just talking to a person. And that is where, it becomes really crucial, both for the lawyers representing the government of Sri Lanka, but also for lawyers representing the various creditors to be able to get on the same page. And I see that in real life. the struggle that is taking place. And in conjunction to the restructuring of the debt, Sri Lanka is going to start a fairly large state-owned enterprise reform program, a privatization program. Now you see a lot of interest coming from different countries, and they will come from many Asian countries, from India, from Singapore, from Thailand, from Japan, multiple countries. Now, lawyers come and want to find out, how do we approach this? What should be the angle? The other day, I had dinner with Riza Bakir, who now represents Alvarez, and I forget the other law, sort of a boutique law firm in New York, and he used to be the governor of the central bank of Pakistan. Now, when they come to study a brief in a different country, if they have or have had in the past, right, connections and networks, that becomes that much more easier for them to understand the task at hand. So without going on and on, what I'm trying to get across to you is that this is a unique and an amazing opportunity. And I congratulate all of you guys for having, put this together. And I think as many students as possible must seek to participate in these internships. I was reading your thing, it said 2 to 3 months online and on site. Outstanding. So if there is any way in which we can support through the structures and systems in Sri Lanka, we would be more than happy to do what is necessary to perhaps look at regulations that exist domestically to be able to support your initiative. And I have to get off now. Thank you very much for your invitation, and I wish you all the very best in your deliberations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harsha De Silva, for the address, and thank you for coming despite your busy schedule and sharing your knowledge and words of wisdom with us. If you have any other events to attend, you may leave the Zoom now. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the opening ceremony of the ALSA Global Internship Launch. To begin the event today, we will be hearing first about the application process explanation by the Director of Alumni and Membership of ALSA International, Ms. Hirudini Wickramanayake. To Ms. Hirudini, the time and place are yours.
Thank you, Lily. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, as the Director of Alumni and Membership of the Asian Law Student Association, it is my privilege to stand before you today and introduce you an exciting new initiative that will shape the future of aspiring legal professionals worldwide. I'm thrilled to present to you the Asian Law Student Association's Global Internship Program. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to all those who have supported us on this journey. The Asian Law Student Association has always been committed to fostering academic excellence, cultural exchange, and professional development among law students. With the launch of this internship program, we are taking a significant step forward in realizing our mission. Allow me to provide you with an overview of this groundbreaking project. The Asian Law Student Association's Global Internship Program offers law students a unique opportunity to gain practical experience, expand their legal knowledge, and forge international connections. Through this program, participants will have the chance to work with esteemed legal organizations around the world tackling real-life cases, and engaging in meaningful legal research. So, the most frequently asked question, how does one apply to this prestigious program? The process is simple yet rigorous. We have established a streamlined application procedure to ensure that we select the most qualified and deserving candidates. Here are the steps. As you can see, step number 1 is filling out the Google form with all the relevant information. This form will allow us to gather all the essential details about your academic background, previous working exposures, and personal interest. Be sure to provide accurate and comprehensive information, as it will help us in assessing your suitability for the program. Step number 2. After reviewing all these applications, we will proceed to the first phase of the selection process. We will carefully evaluate each candidate's credentials, focusing on extracurricular involvement, the commitment to ALSA International, and the field of law. The chosen individuals will move forward to the next stage. Step number 3. The second phase of the selection process involves a thorough assessment of the shortlisted candidates. This may include written assignments, interviews, or other evaluative measures. Our goal is to identify those individuals who exhibit not only exceptional legal acumen, but also strong interpersonal skills and a passion for international law. Once the selection process concludes, the successful candidates have been chosen, the journey finally begins. The commencement of the internship marks an exciting chapter in their lives as they embark on an immersive, enriching experience within their chosen legal firm. This internship is open to 3 groups of individuals. As you can see in the slide, past and present officers of the International Board, esteemed alumni of the Asian Law Students Association, last but not least, our present members. Before I conclude, let me provide you with few essential tips on how to prepare for the interview process. First and foremost, you need to research the organization you're going to apply. You have to do a thorough research and familiarize yourself with their work and understand their core values. Additionally, be ready to discuss your own experiences, aspirations, and what you hope to achieve through this internship. Confidence, authenticity, and a genuine passion for the law will undoubtedly leave a lasting impression. Your journey begins today, and we cannot wait to see the remarkable contribution you will make to the legal world. Your dedication and commitment will undoubtedly inspire the future generations of law students. If you have any further questions, direct them to the Secretary General's Department via our mail address. We are more than happy to help you with the answers that you need. Thank you and best of luck.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hirudini, for the application process explanation. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be immediately hearing the first topic with the amazing panelists. Before we begin, I would like to introduce you to our speaker. He is an attorney at law, practicing in the original and appellate courts of Sri Lanka. He holds a Bachelor of Laws from the University of London and was a triple gold medalist at the Sri Lanka Law College, including being awarded the title of Best Mooder in his year. He specialized in civil and commercial law, matters including arbitration, and he is also the lecturer of public law for the University of London LLB program at the Center of Professional Studies. Today, he will discuss commercial contracts in the modern era. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Shamir Zafahir.
Hello, thank you very much, and thank you to the ALSA for having me today. It is always a pleasure to be part of events like this and to see law students taking the initiative to further their knowledge and also to get together across borders. And as practitioners and counsel, we always like to help whenever we can. And I must say the topic that was chosen was very interesting, commercial contracts in the modern era. I may seem like a very large topic, but I'm going to focus on some of the core areas today, which we deal with in commercial contracts in our day-to-day life, and some of the areas that have become as of late very relevant, and as of late have come to the forefront, which weren't traditionally there. Before we get in to those areas, let's just have a quick sort of refresher as to what commercial contracts are, and a sort of a basic definition. I think the definition itself is very clearly, it's an agreement that two or more parties would get together for a variety of commercial purposes. Now, in the modern world, commercial contracts range from various small-term contracts between parties to even multinational contracts and agreements that go beyond borders and across nations as well. Now, why are they important for business transactions? Unlike many other areas of day-to-day, let's say, very simple contracts that take place even when you go to a supermarket and you purchase a good, on some level, there is a binding implied term into the purchase and sale of that good when you go and buy something from the supermarket. But of course, you don't have a written contract with any supermarket that you go to. Most of the terms there are implied business purpose, merchantility, or whether it fits the description. Now, depending on the jurisdiction, these contracts, well, the law changes from country to country, but almost all jurisdictions will have some form of implied terms that go into sale of goods. Now, what we are looking at today is commercial contracts that are entered into between parties on purpose, and where they actively take part in drafting and entering into the terms. Now, why we need them is very simply because in commercial agreements, it's important that all parties understand exactly the rights and obligations under that arrangement they have with their counterpart. They also provide a framework for resolving disputes, because in the absence of a commercial contract or even something in writing which specifically lays out a dispute resolution procedure, contracts can result in having sort of a questionable area of how we resolve them. Now, why this is more relevant in modern times or the modern era as opposed to maybe 50 to 100 years ago, was traditionally, if you look at most of the case law, if you come from a common law jurisdiction during the common law period, almost all of those decisions are either to do with domestic disputes within England and Wales, or even if it was a dispute in one of the colonies, realize that they were finally decided either by the Privy Council or court decisions come from England. Being a common law jurisdiction, Sri Lanka itself, same for all of the other countries that were part of the Commonwealth. So there was no real problem as to how to resolve a dispute. But with the rise of international trade, cross-border transactions, sort of communication that is faster, more efficient, almost immediate, commercial contracts in today's world require a lot more thought than they did maybe 100 years ago. Not simply because of the complexity of the goods that are being manufactured. Now, for example, if you take goods maybe 50, 100 years ago, they may be items, they may be a machine, they may be agricultural produce, they may be a car or some sort of building material. But we are now in an era where the manufacture of the product itself is so complex, and they have so many components. Sometimes they are not manufactured between one or two parties. Now, if you take an airline, for example, if Boeing is building a plane, no, not all the goods are manufactured by Boeing or Airbus. Every single component will come from an individual contractor somewhere in the world. From the nut, the bolt, the engine is from Rolls-Royce, the windscreen. So you have all these overlapping agreements between them for the manufacture of those goods and for the delivery, the transport, timelines. So over time, not only have commercial contracts themselves had to do with things of larger value, they have become increasingly complex. It's not between A and B, it's between A, B, C, D. There are multiple. Maybe there are products, for example, if you take semiconductor manufacturing, they will have someone to supply the silicon, someone to supply the machine, someone to maintain the lasers. So commercial contracts today have gotten more complex. But that is not to say that despite the contract or the arrangement itself being complex, that the agreements themselves need to be unreadable or uninterpretable. Now, if you take the gamut of contracts, we have everything ranging from sale and purchase agreements, service contracts, franchise agreements, manufacturing agreements, joint venture agreements between parties for investment. All of these have very different goals and targets that they are there in. But if you were to sort of commonly look at the contracts or commercial contracts in today's context, you will realize that despite the passage of time, some of the more important or more fundamental aspects of commercial contracts, they remain unchanged. For example, the concept of offer and acceptance, the concept of consideration, the intention to create legal relations, all of these still are very much part of commercial contracts in the modern era, and they form part of the fundamental law behind it. But beyond that, why are commercial contracts significant in business transactions? Now, for one, they provide a framework for the relationship. They reduce the risk between the parties. If you know exactly what the rights and obligations are, the dispute resolution mechanism, if you know how to resolve the dispute, what's your risk exposure, be it damages, is there a cap on damages? All of these are very important for businesses to hedge their risk. Get insurance against that number. Maybe they make sure that you have liquidity in case some amount has to be paid. It increases business efficiency by giving you the exact sort of planning you need for the next 5 years, 10 years, or even short term, 6 to 12 months. And it also helps build trust between the different parties. Now, despite how good your relationship is between you and the other party you're entering into, it's vital that the commercials or the contracts between them or the agreements between them are very strong. I say this not out of a level of mistrust between the parties, but there's a saying which is that strong fences build strong neighbors. So, good fences build good neighbors, which is by defining your relationships with the other parties. Not only is that sort of a positive aspect, it actually will help build a deeper relationship between the parties. Now, one of the key aspects of contracts is two things that I would say, in my experience in the modern era, you need to be very clear about today. Firstly, you need to be clear and, as to the largest extent possible, concise. Now, I'm not saying that you need to sort of bring down any contract to 2 or 3 pages. There are contracts that range to hundreds of pages, depending on the complexity. But to the extent possible, minimize the risk of there being multiple interpretations, right? And you should, as much as possible, involve all the terms between the parties, be it payment, be it shipping, be it the dispute resolution, right? And because of that, you need to get as much of the content in there as possible at the earliest possible stage and make it part of the negotiations. Now, when we talk about contracts and dispute resolution, we talk about two important concepts that keep coming up in jurisprudence. One is contextual interpretation, which is when courts interpret a commercial contract, they will look at the entire contract, the language, the circumstances, intentions, so that unlike most other sort of interpretation, there is no literal interpretation given to one specific line in the contract. It's important that when interpreting it, courts take into account the entire range of parties. And secondly, the contra preferentum rule, which is that where there is a party who drafted a contract, and if there's ambiguity to the largest extent, the interpretation of that ambiguous or unclear provision will be interpreted against the party which put it in there. So to minimize the sort of risk of you having a very strong bargaining position and abusing that position. Okay. Now, another thing that commercial contracts in recent years or in the modern era we are very particular about is the alternate dispute resolution mechanisms that have come in. Now, back in the day, before the rise of arbitration, contracts were governed by standard statutory law to a large extent. So you would go to the courts of your choosing that the parties chose or where the contract was entered into. But of course, given the rise of sort of global trade and transactions, it is almost very rarely that you would see a contract that is entered into between two jurisdictions having one jurisdiction's court as the dispute resolution mechanism, right? So what we have now is an arbitration clause in most commercial contracts, which will define a few things. One, they will define the language of the arbitration. They will define the seat of the arbitration, the number of arbitrators, and the applicable rules, right? So an arbitration clause, modern era has taken a sort of the extremely high level of importance when it comes to drafting a contract. It for two reasons. One, it makes you need to make sure that the rules or the location or the seat or the language makes it easy for both parties. Now, just a quick recap. The New York Convention, which is over 160 countries, allows sort of enforcement of your arbitration awards anywhere in those countries in the world. So we can enter into a contract. If we are in Sri Lanka, a Sri Lankan company can enter into a contract with a Hong Kong-based company. And the arbitration clause could see it as either Sri Lanka or Hong Kong or Singapore or England, pretty much anywhere in the world. And the decision and the award can be enforced against the assets in Sri Lanka or Hong Kong or wherever the party who wants to enforce it against those assets has property, immovable or movable. Now, this has become vital because if I'm entering a commercial or other contract with a party in another country, I need to make sure that in the event that he defaults or breaches, that the fact that I'm in another country from him doesn't preclude me from getting some sort of release, some sort of relief from the courts, right? Which is why you need to think of two things. One thing, most importantly, which is where you actually have the arbitration. Now, from a commercial perspective, as lawyers, we are always very concerned about the best possible legal wicket for us to play in. I mean, if you are a court, we are looking at how the judge is, which court to file it in, whether by nature he gives orders in the nature we want. But when we deal with commercial clients or businesses, we consider not just purely the legal part of it or the interpretive part, but the cost, right? One thing commercial contracts are very much concerned with, in addition to the legal protection, is the actual cost of dispute resolution. Now, you can have the fanciest arbitration arbitral chamber nominated, and you can have a panel of 3 arbitrators, and you can have a little clause which says all the arbitrators should at minimum have a doctorate in this field of law or in this field of construction. But as nice as that makes it, and as steadfast as it makes the arbitration itself, your client is going to have to foot millions just to have a couple of sittings. And sometimes you need to, when drafting a resolution clause in a contract, not only consider the legal aspect, but also the cost to the client in doing that, right? Now, another thing that has come to the forefront in recent times is the rise of mediation. This in a sort of next step, because arbitration, but mediation attempts to sort of get the commercial parties together and arrive at some sort of settlement agreement and see if that agreement can be enforced. Now, there's a Singapore culture of mediation that is becoming increasingly sort of talked in recent times. I think over 55 countries have signed it, but I think there are only about 14 which have ratified it last time I checked. But with the rise of mediation, we are going to see this sort of, I would say, faster resolution, and also it's a less confrontational resolution. So unlike arbitration, which in recent times has gotten expensive, sometimes takes time, and arbitration is essentially sort of aggressive. You're fighting with the other side. Mediation is something where you're trying to see where you can find a middle ground. So you will preserve that relationship and the ability to have commercial relationship with that party going in to the future, right? Now, quickly look at some of the areas which I think in a few years to see is in. I think one thing that's talked about is smart contracts that use blockchain technology. As we're all aware, I mean, you heard of all these kind of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum or all of these. These run on a blockchain, which is sort of a group of nodes that are connected with a network of computers across the world. So which has a high level of security and no intervention by third parties like governments or banks. So with the rise of blockchain technology, we are seeing increasingly this sort of trend, and it will go towards a thing called smart contracts, where the contracts automatically execute themselves on the reaching of specific milestones, which takes it out of the control of courts to intervene or banks or parties, and sort of makes it so that upon the fulfillment of certain conditions, the contract automatically executes. Now, with that, we are going to see a rise in this technology. If I feel the technology may be hitting high levels of exposure right now, though, there's some pushback from some jurisdictions to the use of blockchain. So if there is wider acceptance of it, we might see commercial contracts increasingly going into that area as well. Then another area we need to be sort of concerned about in commercial contracts in the modern age, and things that are happening, something that happens all the time now, is this talk about data protection and privacy. Now, countries like Sri Lanka have brought in data protection regulations now, because increasingly platforms such as social media platforms, e-commerce platforms, harvest a lot of information from their customers. So contracts that, whether or not that can be used in furthering sort of interest of those parties and how they are used in commercial contracts, the data, this is another area which in modern times is discussed and is constantly being worked on. We have to strike the balance between the harvesting and use of data and the violation of personal privacy. With that, in conclusion, I would like just to recap some of the other areas that we are looking at. And in recent times, COVID-19 and the pandemic has sort of seen an increasing trend for the force majeure clauses to be carefully drafted, to be more flexible and so on. And we also see a rise in sort of companies using more technology in the drafting of commercial contracts by using it to incorporate smaller term contracts between the parties. Now, given the time, I don't want to head off much over the time because there's a lot more to go on. But I hope that what we discussed today will be beneficial in some format. And all the best for the rest of your work for the year and going forward with this venture. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Shamir, for sharing such insightful knowledge with us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to hear the second topic from our amazing panelists. Before we begin, I would like to introduce you to our speaker. She is an attorney in law and graduated with a Bachelor of Law and Master's degree in Human Rights and Democratization from the Faculty of Law, University of Colombo. Currently, she is reading for her PhD in law at the University of Colombo. She is an accredited international commercial mediator from the Singapore International Mediation Institute and the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. She is also a negotiator holding a diploma in commercial arbitration from ICLP Sri Lanka and a trained master negotiator from Harvard Law School Program of Negotiation. She will deliver a lecture today on the topic, Is Dispute Resolution All About Litigation? And without further ado, please welcome Ms. Sarani Gunatilaki.
Thanks, Lily. And thank you so much to everyone at ALSA for inviting me, and my heartiest congratulations to all of you in launching your international internship program. And I'm kind of envious because we never had these opportunities as law students, but I'm so happy for all of you that now all of you are getting the opportunity to connect with your international to be learned friends and to take the legal discourse of your individual countries, as well as the development of law globally to new heights. So, and I look forward to hear all the good news of this internship program being a success. So without further ado, I'll turn to the question that I have asked. So the question is dispute resolution all about litigation? And I think Shamir kind of touched on it when talking about modern contracts, commercial contracts. But I want you to, keeping all of that in mind, where he spoke about litigation, arbitration, and mediation, my question is more about, in general, how do we and how should we approach disputes? So if I ask you now that all of you, I think we have 21 participants, that including myself, and all of you have been listening to so many speeches. So I just want you to engage with me like for 2 seconds. If I ask you, why do you want to become a lawyer? Can I at least get 2 people answering me? So that just to see whether we are on the same page. You can raise hand, you can type it on your chat. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I think my internet connection got stuck. Sorry. Were you able to hear my question? Okay, thank you. So can I have at least 2 sharing with us as to why you wanted to become a lawyer? You can raise hand, use the raise hand button or type it on the chat box. Just unmute yourself and let us hear your voice. Okay, okay, we have Suwon from Cambodia. I would like to protect people by finding justice to them. Okay, so we as lawyers, we are supposed to be, and we technically should uphold rule of law and uphold the fundamental principles of justice, right? So in fact, we want to call ourselves people who help others to find justice. Okay, that's a good answer. Anybody else? No? This is okay. Yes. So Hirudini says to make a positive impact towards a society in terms of dispensing justice. Okay. So justice is a topic that we cannot ignore, right? When we are lawyers, and together with justice goes rule of law. So we kind of associate our role in terms of helping others find justice. Okay, from Nepal, ALSA, we have make people aware about their rights and duties. Yes, okay, so great flow of answers. So when it comes to justice, we also say that another person's rights and your duties towards other people kind of leads towards a just society, right? A just society is where you know what your duties are, and you make sure that whatever you do not infringe upon or encroach upon another person's rights, right? So in this sphere, if you take the disputes that people face, they are not just commercial disputes, they are not just human rights related disputes. Disputes take so many different forms, right? But they all boil down to this concept of justice and this idea of duties and responsibilities, duties, rights, and responsibilities. Whether it's a construction contract, whether it's a commercial contract, whether it's a rights dispute, or whether it's a family dispute, whatever it is, when it comes to a dispute, people will talk about, I should get this, you should have done this, it should not be this way. So we fight with concepts to find what people, the disputants, perceive as justice. Am I right? But the problem is, for years and centuries, I would say, we have trained us systems, or rather systems have trained us to see justice as something a third party is to bestow on us, right? Somebody else will find justice and give it to us. So we kind of have been trained into this system where we always take our disputes to somebody else and they give us justice. They tell us this is what justice is, and then we take it and go, right? So that is where the legal systems are developed. That was how the legal systems have been developed. But now, like Shamir said, just like the commercial contracts are moving towards arbitration and mediation from where it was in litigation, justice system is also moving forward. Now, earlier, justice was all about fighting for your right. Okay, I have to get this. What was done to me was not right. So I go to a lawyer and I tell my lawyer, you fight for me, right? Then the lawyers put on their cloaks, like in movies that you see, and go to court and make, arguments that can make roofs fly, and like all those rebelling arguments and groundbreaking arguments to make sure that your client wins and get what your client wants as justice. So for years and years, we lawyers and you have thought that our role is to fight for our clients, right? Get them what they want. And we have also thought that if we are a good lawyer, we should be able to make the best argument for my client, right? And we will try to find out some argument, whether it's apparent on the face of the record or otherwise, to make sure my client wins, right? But ultimately, it had led to disappointment for so many people, including lawyers' very own clients, right? Why? One is because you are so held on to a particular position as to what your right is and what justice is. Two is because you have failed to see the other side of the story. Three, the most important thing is because you have let and you have always thought that a third party can decide what is right for you. Now, I am not saying, please don't think that I am trying to say that litigation is completely out of the picture. Don't ever get anybody else to decide for you, because if that's the case, you have to throw arbitration also out of the way. No, that's not what I am saying. What I'm saying is we have, and our disputants and our legal system have trained us so far to think that justice is not something that you can find on your own, but it is something that somebody else has to give you. That's why we always rely upon judges or arbitrators, even to that matter, right? That's because we think we can't decide for ourselves, particularly the disputants. And we also find it difficult for lawyers to understand what lawyers' role is in the dispute resolution process. Now, if I tell you for a disputant, their first point of contact, or in their minds, their savior is a lawyer, do you agree with me? Like whenever you're in trouble, let's say your car met with an accident and now the police wants you to come to the police station. Don't think as a student or a child that you would sometimes call your mother or father first, but otherwise in the dispute resolution process, who will you first contact? That will most probably be a lawyer that you know of, right? Even if you call your mother, you will be like, Mom, isn't there somebody that you know, a lawyer? Can't you bring a lawyer? I think a lawyer will resolve this. And then suddenly you call a lawyer. And when we get calls like that, we're like, calm down. At this point, most of the times, there's nothing in particular that a lawyer can do. Most of the times, right? But we still give you advice. We make you feel better by going there. Okay, we help you communicate with the police. We do certain things, but it's not necessarily what you think, because you think a lawyer can put, not you. When I say you, please take it in the context of a disputant, okay? Because you're soon to come to this side. So that's because disputants think that we have the powers when it comes to dispute resolution to resolve any dispute that people come up with, and that we will always stand on their side and help them battle through it and to get the justice that they want. But my question to you is, how do we do it as lawyers? Because so far, I have done several trainings for law students and lawyers. Most of the times, how they saw it was, okay, we can file a case for them. We can fight their case, right? That's because we always think that our role is to fight for them, whether it's in litigation or arbitration, right? But dispute resolution is not just about fighting for someone, or only about whether it's litigation or arbitration or mediation, getting that pick. What I think as lawyers we should be doing in dispute resolution is to first help the parties understand the nature of the dispute that they are in. Now, most of the times we see that when this also happens when we go to a doctor. Sometimes when we enter the doctor's clinic, some doctors write the prescription so fast, right? Medicine, you'll be fine, right? So whole process, they will tell you what exactly us through that entire process. Two different types of doctors. Same thing with lawyers. Sometimes when clients come to you with a dispute, you will listen to the first 2-3 sentences or 5 sentences that they said, and then you will make up your mind as to whether it's a family dispute. Is it a maintenance case? Is it should you be asking for an injunction, or is it a writ? Is it a fundamental rights application? Is it contract enforcement? What is this case? You will make up your mind as to the course of action of the matter that you have to file in court, or whether you should go to arbitration. and you will directly go through it. Most of the times you will take a contract if it's a contract, and then you go through the section and you will think, okay, this clause says you have to go for arbitration if your negotiations fail. A very famous clause for dispute resolution, right? Then you will guide your mind through that. But my thinking and my invitation to all of you when you become lawyers is, before narrowing your views on dispute resolution, first have an open mind. Diagnose the dispute from the bigger picture. Like Shamir said, when you do this diagnosis, now Shamir was talking about pre-contractual process where you have to actually think of, can my client afford arbitration? Can my client afford litigation, right? So that's pre-dispute. Now, post-dispute too, I think we should be doing the same. Yes, the contract terms, if you have agreed on to a particular type of dispute resolution method, might become a barrier with regard to certain dispute resolution methods, but it's not always limiting you. So you have to think of, okay, this clause says you have to go for arbitration. Okay. Now, there is a very popular opinion that if your dispute resolution clause says litigation or arbitration, nothing doing, you have to go for litigation. That's how most of the times these clauses are being interpreted. Okay, if it says arbitration, no, nothing before that. You immediately send out the dispute, the notice for arbitration, and you go for arbitration. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is, whether it's litigation or arbitration, imagine your client is almost bankrupt. Okay, and if you take him just through arbitration, just because the resolution, the clause says arbitration, you're not really looking at the big picture. Why? Because your client is going to end up completely penniless if you fail in the arbitration, because now he has to spend for arbitration, and after that there's a likelihood of you failing as well, because you can't predict anything. You have not done justice then. Do you think just because you take him through the arbitration process, he will think you did justice? Unlikely, right? So it's always wise, before making a decision on how to resolve this dispute, before just relying for the sake of it on the method that they have agreed on, look at the big picture. See what your client sees as justice and see what he can really afford. Now, in this instance, you have to keep in mind that not all clients know what they have to go through. Okay, they will come and tell you, no issues, you file a case, especially in Sri Lanka, and I think this is the same in India as well. I don't know about, I don't think it's as bad in other countries. I mean, they don't know that they have to spend at least 10 to 20 years in court to get the so-called justice that they're waiting for. So it's a responsibility of us to explain them the complexities of the process. The complexities might change in different countries, but I'm sure nobody likes litigation, right? And it's highly unlikely that any country you will get something before 6 months if you go to court. If it happens, good, please do let us know, but I highly doubt it, right? So look at the big picture before jumping on to conclusions, looking at words in black letters as to what the dispute resolution method should be, right? Then have a realistic conversation with your client as to what is a realistic outcome of each of these methods. If you can't predict, do not predict. Do not tell them, oh, 90% you will win. My dear, you never know what the judge thinks. Okay, so do not take chances like that. But from your reasonable man's test, you know, the famous test that all law students look at, and evaluate, show your client the chances of him losing, chances of him winning, and help the client evaluate with everything that's available to him, what is the best method. All right. Now that's one thing to do. Second thing, You can do all of it, but your contract says arbitration or it says litigation. Now what? He can't afford arbitration at this point, although pre-negotiation he could. He was a well-off man. That's why you put arbitration. But now he can't. Everything changed, right? He was well-off before contracts. He could afford litigation. Now he can't. But unfortunately, the contract says litigation, arbitration. Now what do you do? Keep in mind, just because there's an arbitration or litigation clause, it doesn't prevent parties from amicably settling the dispute without going to arbitration or litigation. Because all what you have to do, if the parties agree, party autonomy comes first, right? So then it's a matter of you becoming strategic at that point and becoming a good negotiator, a good facilitator, finding the best mediator. That's possible. Even if your dispute resolution clause does not say mediation, remember, you can still mediate. Now, these are the points most of the times we miss out on. We think if the contract dispute resolution clause does not say mediation, you can't mediate. And that's not true, because it's all about voluntary engagement in amicable dispute resolution process. Might sound like a fairy tale. You might think, why would the other party agree just because this party is bankrupt? But especially in business world and in construction contracts, time is of essence for both parties. Money, nobody wants to spend so much of money, because if you go to court, they go to court. And so interest is the same. Basically, you find to help your client get an opportunity to test the waters to amicably resolve the dispute, right? So dispute resolution, as lawyers, we should not look at it just from a technical perspective, but we have to look at from a strategic perspective. Strategy first, not just, at least they are best known for their strategy most of the times, not just the way they interpret the law or the number of cases that they can, just say off the top of their heads. No, they are known for their strategy. How do they strategize? Now, strategy should not only be for your litigation or arbitration, but it should also be when you decide on your dispute resolution process for each of your clients in each of those cases. How should you decide or design the dispute resolution strategy? That is what you have to decide on. So I invite all of you, I won't take much of your time, as soon to be lawyers, try your level best to come out of the traditional ideas on dispute resolution, where we are often pushed to make decisions just reading the letters or words of the dispute resolution clause of a particular contract or the traditional means of dispute resolution, but use your skills to strategize dispute resolution process in the best interest of your client, that process, and more involving process in resolving their dispute. I think that will make them feel that they own the ultimate decision or ultimate outcome of their dispute resolution process. So just to answer the question, is dispute resolution all about litigation? No, it is not. Is litigation completely out the window? No, it is not. Dispute resolution is about understanding the real stakes of a dispute and to find the best strategy to attain the best possible outcome for each of the parties in a dispute. So my request to all of you is concentrate on strategy and try to become the best strategists as lawyers when resolving disputes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, for our second speaker, Ms. Sarani, for the amazing, insightful knowledge that you have been given us. Now, we will have a photo session first with Ms. Sarani and also Mr. Shamir, if he is still in the Zoom meeting, before we will continue our agenda. Please, for all of the participants, you may turn on your camera and we will take a photo session. All right, we will wait for a bit. So, okay. If you guys can turn on your camera, it will be great. The cue is on me for the photo session. In 3, 2, 1, we can do the ALSA pose with one hand. We will take a picture in 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Sarni, and also Mr. Shamir, for sharing knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now hearing about the information of ALSA. In this occasion, we will be playing the video and also the presentation from ALSA and Cindy for the ALSA forum. To the committee, you may proceed to share the screen.
Good evening to all my dear friends from ALSA IB and all the NCs of ALSA. And apologies, first of all, that I won't be able to join the meeting at this point because I have to leave to my college for my exams. So unfortunately, I am sending this recording of my speech and a greeting from ALSA India for ALSA Forum. So as everyone knows that ALSA India is going to host ALSA Forum this year. So ALSA Forum is going to be hosted in ALSA, is going to be hosted by ALSA India here in India in the city of New Delhi, which is the capital of India, wherein it has and for heritage sites. So basically, it will involve a whole cultural things along with academic things, which will going to hold. And obviously, this time I am saying all these things because we are going to host this event in offline mode in the city of New Delhi, wherein I believe all of you are very much interested to come for ALSA Forum because it's been almost 2 or 3 years that we are going to host ALSA Forum in offline mode because due to COVID, due to pandemic situation, it has been happening online only. But this year it is going to be offline, wherein I invite all the NC presidents, all the NC members, local chapters, and all the IB members to be present here with us and support us and participate and share their feelings, share their culture, share their legal history here in India. We are very much delighted to have you and invite all the delegates here. And I also request all the chief guests or all the people present over here in the meeting to be present here with us. Month of September, we are going to host from 4th of September till 10 till 8th of September. We are going to host, and I have prepared one video as well, which is just a promo video, which will take you through a virtual tour of ALSA India and also India, what India basically is, right? And apart from that, a basic thing that when we are going to host and how it is going to be hosted. So I believe that, and also please be updated on our eager to release a lot of stuff because my media team is working really hard on preparing all the post banners for promoting ALSA Forum. So I believe you all must have followed the ALSA India ALSA Forum Instagram page so that you will be updated time to time and you will get to know a lot of things about India, about ALSA Forum, news about ALSA Forum, what is happening as of now, when the registration form is going to open because we are just going to open it within 1 or 2 weeks. So please be ready to register yourself as soon as possible because there will be limited seats. So you have to be eager and you have to be quick on registering yourself. Thank you so much. Namaste from India.
Thank you so much for the video. Now we will having the screen sharing for the presentation. To the committee, you may please share the screen. All right, I think that is the promotional video from ALSA India for the ALSA Forum of 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the end of today's event. Before closing this event, I would like to invite Ms. Tanyapat Chaiseri as the Vice President of Academic Activities of ALSA International to give the closing of speech. To Ms. Tanyapat, the time and place are yours.
Hello, and thank you so much, Lily. So as the launch of the ALSA Global Internship event has come to an end, we would like to express our sincere gratitude, firstly to our chief guest, Dr. Harsha De Silva, Honorable Minister of the Parliament of Sri Lanka, for sacrificing their time to give us insightful addresses, and we are really honored to have them with us today. Second, I would like to thank our special guests, first to Ms. Bun Tiong, the President of the ALSA Alumni, Mr. Yuri van Steinwijk, the President of European Law Students Association, and finally, Ms. Annabelle Biscotto, the President of Australian Law Student Association, for their continuous support in the ALSA Global Internship Program and in our partnership. And then I would like to thank our esteemed speakers, Mr. Shamir Savahir and Ms. Sarani Tilaki, for sharing your resourceful knowledge both on contemporary commercial contracts and dispute resolution with us. We are certain that the participants today will be able to use the knowledge not only in their path in ALSA Global Internship, but also in their future career paths as well. And finally, I would like to thank our senior officers and directors of ALSA International Board, the presidents of the national chapters, the members of ALSA, the members of ALSA's alumni, and all the law students who have shown interest today. Thank you for your interest and active participation in today's event. We hope that all the sessions today will allow you to understand more about ALSA Global Internship Program, along with its processes and benefits. And we look forward to receiving your applications for the pioneering program soon. Thank you very much, and ALSA always be one.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tanyapat, for the closing of the speech. Now, before we end this event, I would like to thank all the speakers and also the participants who stayed with us until the end. It has been a pleasure to have you here, and we would love to see you on another ALSA occasion. Thank you, and God bless us all. ALSA, always be one.